Hello there everyone, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for a new video, and today I'm showcasing the brand new Simon Says Stamp and Reverse Confetti STAMPtember exclusive. Now I don't know about you, but I have been loving the edge-to-edge shaker card technique, and I haven't made one in a little bit. I was kind of going into a shaker withdrawal, so I wanted to break out my sequins and create an edge-to-edge shaker card with this beautiful set. Like I said, this stamp set is a limited edition STAMPtember exclusive with Simon Says Stamp and Reverse Confetti. So this set is only available while supplies last. It's the Autumn Blessing set, and it does come with coordinating dies. You have the option to purchase the stamp and die set together or just the stamp set alone. I don't have the coordinating dies, so I am going to be fussy cutting my images out. However, if I had the dies, I would have loved that because it was going to make creating this card a lot easier. So if you want to recreate this card, definitely think about getting the dies. It might be helpful for you. Okay, so here's the Autumn Blessing stamp set on the left. On the right is the Interlocking Leaves background stamp from Simon Says Stamp. This was part of their STAMPtember first release, which is not limited edition. You can purchase this stamp set at any time. If it is out of stock, don't worry. Simon Says Stamp will be restocking any of the Simon branded products that are from the STAMPtember first release. Simon will be continuing to sell and restock those items as fast as possible. So I'm going to stamp this Interlocking Leaves background onto a piece of white cardstock here. It's actually a card base, but I am going to trim it down into a standard A2 panel. I'm stamping this with Simon Says Stamp embossing ink. I did prep the surface of my paper with the rabbit hole powder tool. It's a really nice new powder tool. I've been enjoying using it. I have it linked in the video description below as well as over on my blog. Be sure to check it out if you're interested in any of the items that I'm using today. I do have some clear embossing powder here that I'm sprinkling over top of that stamping. It's really hard to see right now, but we're going to make this pop in a second here. I'm pulling out Simon Says Stamp new Pawsitively saturated inks. This is Sunbeam and Citrine, and I'm blending these colors over top of that Interlocking Leaves background. I embossed with the clear embossing powder, and that's creating a resist. So as we add the ink over top of the embossing powder, it's not going to end up sitting on that embossing. So when I go ahead and take a dry cloth here and buff it over that embossing, you're going to see that they pop beautifully off of this background. After cleaning off that excess ink, I did bring in some Distress Spray Stain from Tim Holtz, and I'm going to splatter this onto my background just for a little bit of interest and texture. I'm pulling out that new Autumn Blessing stamp set from Reverse Confetti and Simon Says Stamp, and I'm stamping it onto some Simon Says Stamp 120-pound white cardstock with intense black ink. This cardstock is one of my absolute favorites for Copic Coloring, which is what I'm going to use to color in this beautiful sunflower image. So I started off with a couple of blue shades. These are BG markers. I added those into the jar for a little bit of color. And then I used a couple of green markers to shade in the leaves, a few yellow shades to color in the sunflowers, and I colored all the sunflowers in the exact same way as I'm doing here. Once I had the sunflowers colored, I did bring in more of that green to create the illusion of more stems in this jar. It just adds some interest. And then I'm going to use a couple of BG markers to add in some teal color up top, and I also added a pop of red on these berry looking images. The final finishing touch was to color in the centers of the sunflowers with a few browns. These are E70 markers. And all the colors that I used today are listed below in the video description or over on my blog. Now, like I said, I don't have the coordinating dies, so I am going to cut that out with my fine tip scissors. Once I had the fussy cutting complete, I also used a Sigma white gel pen to add some highlights on my coloring. You don't have to add the highlights, but I do love the look of it. It adds just a nice bit of contrast on that coloring. Alright, so we were going to make an edge-to-edge shaker card, right? So the first thing I need to do is cover that background that we did all of our ink blending and embossing on with some tape. And I'm using Simon Says Stamp redline tape. This is a huge roll of redline tape, and I love that redline tape, so I'm really excited about this adhesive. I'm using that to cover the entire backside, all four edges of my background. Then I'll remove 3 of the release papers from the adhesive. I'll lay this background face down onto a piece of plastic. This just happens to be some stamp packaging. And I'm going to fold the edges of that plastic into the red line tape. Red line tape is super strong, so it's going to hold this really, really well. But you could use other adhesives if you prefer something different. So once I have 3 of the sides folded into the adhesive, leaving that top edge open, and that's what we're going to fill with our sequins. Now at this point, I realized I forgot to attach my sunflowers to the background before covering it with the plastic. But I was in luck because, of course, we need to fill our shaker yet. I can slip this sunflower bouquet right into my background, and we're no worse for wear. I'd say this was a pretty successful fix considering I did not have to take the card apart, so I'm very happy about that. I used some Simon Says Stamped Sequins. These are a really beautiful peachy mix, and then I also used a few gold confetti sequins to mix in between. I particularly loved that peachy sequin mix because it had a nice yellowy orange feel, and then it also had pops of a bluish teal color. Really, really pretty sequins, matched great with these colors. So now that we have our shaker filled, the last step is to remove that final release paper off of the 4th edge of our background and close up that shaker. Look how beautiful those sequins look, just spectacular. Okay, so now it's time to add a sentiment. I pulled out a greeting from that Autumn Blessings stamp set from Reverse Confetti and Simon Says Stamp, the STAMPtember collaboration set. I'm going to ink that up onto some Schoolhouse Red cardstock with Simon Says Stamp embossing ink. And then I pulled out my favorite all-time gold embossing powder, which is Simon Says Stamp Antique Gold. This gold is so warm and beautiful. It's my absolute favorite for gold embossing. I use it all the time. I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut the sentiment out just because I like that. And I'm going to pop that greeting up along the bottom portion of my card, which contrasts beautifully and creates a visual triangle, if you notice, with the red berries on our bouquet. So now that our card is complete, the only thing I have to do now is adhere this onto an A2 card base. So I just used a bit of adhesive, attached that onto the card base, and that's going to complete my edge-to-edge shaker card using the Simon Says Stamp and Reverse Confetti STAMPtember exclusive Autumn Blessings. Now you may be wondering why I went through the trouble of adding that embossed leaf background onto this card because it's not super visible, but it adds great texture behind my shaker, and that's the reason why I chose to add that. It's a very simple background. There's not a whole lot going on. It's not competing with the sunflowers, but the style of the leaves worked really well for the style of this stamp set because they reminded me of the sunflower petals. So that's why I chose to do that. It's more of a complementing design, not meant to take center stage, though that interlocking leaves background stamp is gorgeous, and I can't wait to use it on another card where it is more of the focal point. But it is a great piece for also accenting your cards. So that's the reason why I chose to go ahead and add that. I love how it paired with this stamp set. This set is so cute. And like any of the other STAMPtember sets, and like any of the other STAMPtember collaboration sets, they are limited edition. So that means it is possible that this set could sell out really, really quickly. So if you'd like to have this set for your creative projects for this fall season, I definitely would jump on it if you really, really love it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I can't wait to share something else with you. I've got a lot more to share, and I'm very excited about it because I love crafting, and this particular STAMPtember month is super inspiring. So stay tuned. I've got more coming, so I'll be back very soon, and I can't wait to see you again. Bye!